Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to Spit Rate Podcast, everybody. Episode 53. And you are not having a coronary or a stroke. We have the Searcher back, part 2. More stories, more fun.
More stories, more fun. Hey, before we get too busy into more stories, more fun, let's promote this card you got going on. It's this Saturday at Sinclair?
Yeah, Holy Trinity Church in Sinclair.
So it's this Saturday. Doors open at 5. Show starts at 6.
Yep.
What kind of crazy card you got? You got it all written down yet, or do you know who?
Well,
I know there's a ladies match this Saturday.
The rankings do it themselves with the way I got the matches and stuff, but there's a few matches still up in the air because of a few people. But I got a real good card. The Lumberjacks are still kind of on the injured list, but they're going to be there and they're going to compete, which it's kind of stupid if you ask me because they're actually hurt, but they're still going to wrestle, so that's fine with me. But we haven't had a ladies title in almost a year because Miss Hyde was out having a baby, and our other champion that was champion at the time, she had a baby. So it took a long time to get the belt back. Not that she kept the belt or anything, but we didn't know that she was having a baby, and she did. So the belt's been vacant for over a year. So the main event in St. Clair is going to be pretty good because it's going to be a ladies match, and Miss Hyde's going to take on Azul, and one of them will walk out of there the ACW ladies champion.
Nice. That's what I was just looking at your banner on Facebook with that match, and Judy Azul is very talented. I was entertained by her quite a bit.
Very good, very good. We did a show in Poplar Bluff a couple months ago, and she was there. She didn't get to wrestle, but she helped, tear down the ring, and she just seemed like a very nice lady, and she was looking for work. So I said, yeah, I would like to come in, and I kind of handpicked her to take on Miss Hyde to see who was going to be the champion. And also, Brian James and Marvelous Mark Morgan's going to defend their tag team titles. But the one thing you won't see is Xavier Frost, the ACW World Champion, because I suspended him, and he's not going to be in the building. So for the first time ever, the ACW title will not be defended on an ACW show. But I'm tired of his bull crap because he hit our senior referee with a kendo stick the last show, and something had to be done. So he's going to miss out on a good payday because St. Clair's always – we have over $800 in tickets sold online already. So he's going to miss out on a hell of a payday. So that's his problem. So
yeah. Well, I was there. I watched his last match against him and Gary Jackson, and it kind of got a little heated there. I mean, more than a normal wrestling match would. I mean,
Jackson, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen Gary Jackson angry after a match?
I have.
I don't think I have.
I have twice, but I've known the guy for over 20 years. So yeah, but he. That was the first time I ever seen him vocalize it inside the ring. Normally, he takes it back with him into the locker room and then lets it be known. But, he couldn't even wait. He had to voice his opinion right then and there. And I guess that's kind of how you can tell that, Gary was pissed.
It was great. He took the title. Xavier Frost screwed him over once again, did a bunch of bull crap. So Gary had the title, and he put it in the ring, and I never seen this. Gary, Frost was like, Gary's like, come get your belt. And Frost is like, I'll get the belt if you don't touch me. You're not going to touch me, right? And Gary goes, well, I'm going to touch you. And then he said, come on, come get your belt. And I this blew me away because I just never seen Gary like this in the middle of the ring.
Right.
He said, if I come in there and get the belt, you promise you won't touch me. He goes, I'm going to whip your ass, is what he told Xavier Frost. And it was blown away. And the fans threw, this wasn't just like soda and stuff. There was mixed drinks. I mean, it had to be like $30 worth of mixed drinks. They threw it on Xavier Frost. I would say, I'm not sure anyone has more heat. I shouldn't use that term. Fans, more hatred than Xavier Frost. He's out of shape. He's ugly. I mean, he can wrestle. Trust me, I trained him. I remember when he was a young guy when he first walked in. He can wrestle. That's his secret. Is he doesn't look like an athlete. He doesn't look like a wrestler. He doesn't look like he should even be able to get in the ring. But when he gets in there, he has a killer instinct, and he can really go. And the fans hate that about him. And I hate to say it, but personal issues draw money, and everywhere he goes, he draws money because he's so hated. So I don't get it.
Well,
but,
I'll tell you, it's not that he knows how to wrestle either. It's his mic skills. He is so great on the mic, and he can get you to hate him within seconds of him grabbing one. And and Gary's the same way, but he's more on the beloved side. When he grabs the mic, he goes through his rules. Gets the fans behind him. So it was a very good clash that you had going on there.
Yeah,
for round 2.
What surprises me is, and what surprises everybody else is, so far Xavier Frost's main competition has been Brian James and Gary Jackson, 2 men that are at the peak of top physical physiques. They keep themselves in shape, right. And Xavier Frost does not. And because of that kendo stick and because of his cronies he has running around, he keeps that title. He's going on a year with that title, and it's good for me because I'm making money because people want to come see somebody punch him in the face, and they're paid to see it. But I have so much, so many fans contact me and tell me that he's an embarrassment and I should be ashamed to have him as champ. And I should fire him. I mean, legit. These people hate him. So
that's good.
It's crazy. It is good. It is good. It is.
Texan, I'm just going to throw this out there, though. You should be mad that he's not on the card because he said he goes by the rankings, and I'm going on the website, and you're number 2.
Well,
And I would love to have Texan go against him because I think finally he'd get his ass kicked for once and for all.
Take his head right off.
That's right.
I can't take anything away from Gary, though. Gary, I think you announced that when he comes back from his suspension, he's going to go back against Gary at some point in time. And I definitely know Gary deserves it. But, as soon as Gary gets his chance, if Gary can't get it done, I'm sure I can step in there. So, one thing I was going to say one thing I want to get out there for everyone who goes to St. Clair and watches the show. When we were talking about the ladies' match, I'm just going to say and recommend that no one drink the water that night. Since both the ladies, the previous champ and Miss Hyde were pregnant, something's got to be down in that water. So, just buy the sodas and stuff like that, and leave the water
alone.
Yes.
It's a happy town. It really is.
It's a happy town.
It really is.
For 5 seconds at a time.
He does get those henchmen that you were talking about, too, and I think them and the Lumberjacks don't see eye to eye. Well, I guess them and anyone really don't see eye to eye. That night that I was watching, they went against Brian and who was that other guy?
Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're talking about zero tolerance. You're talking about Roadblock and Striker. And right now, Andy calls me every day. That's the only match he wants. I'm like, well, they don't even have the tag titles. He goes, I don't care. I want zero tolerance because of what they did to us, because they hurt their leg. They attacked both of them and hurt both their legs, and they've been wearing those boots forever. So right now, that's what the match for the Lumberjacks is going to be. It's going to be against zero tolerance. But Brian James and Mark, they want to be in that match.
Oh,
to
wow.
where it's like a three-way tag and for the title. But the problem with that is I just never was I'm not a big fan of three-way dances, although I've been in a lot of them myself. And I have been in, four-man tags and three-man tags. And they're just, I don't know, it's hard to, and you get guys that big standing on the outside, you may not be able to see what's going on in the ring. So I'm not sure if I'm going to turn it into that, but we'll see what happens that night.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's the beauty of wrestling and being the booker and all that stuff is I have to get what the fans want, and that's the easiest book in the world. Whatever the fans want to do, I'm not going to book what I want to see. I'm going to book what the fans want. So we'll see what happens. If they want it, I'm going to give it to them.
Yeah. Speaking of what the fans want, we've had some people asking about this whole Goldberg situation, about bringing in Goldberg. Big Texan needs to fight Goldberg.
Well, you know what's funny?
They want to see
You know what's funny? Today is a big day for ACW. Today is a big day for me. Some very big things happened today.
Really? Is this an exclusive?
I don't know if I want to say that. I just want to say that today I probably got the biggest paying show anybody may. I know for sure that ACW's biggest paying show. It's an amazing amount of money, and it's an amazing place. I don't want to say too much right now, but it's pretty awesome. But see, I didn't say this last time either. I'm friends with Tyler Maine. I don't know if you guys know who Tyler Maine is, but he was Big Sky in WCW. He was Kevin Nash's tag partner, but he was also Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie, and he was also Michael. He was also Michael Myers in the Rob Zombie movies, all the Rob Zombie movies. He was Michael Myers in those. And Tyler and I wrestled with him, on a card or two. And one time, me and him and Stud went to Hardy's, and we kind of hit it off, and we've been friends. He made me look really good at a Comic-Con one time. Like I said, I'm in line waiting to see him because I ain't seen him in a long time, and even though I have a VIP pass on, which is a funny story, every time I went to one of those things, I would have the VIP pass on. And when I would talk to a star or TV, they would see your pass, and they go, I don't know who the fuck this is. But he's got to be somebody because he's got a VIP pass, So I got a lot of cool stuff. But Tyler made me look it was awesome because I'm in towards the middle of the line, and he stands up, and this is when he was promoting X-Men, and he's like, Searcher, come on. And I come up, and he let me sit next to him, me and Alan. And let's just say there was a few very famous people sitting there, too. I didn't even know who they were. I mean, I wish Patrick Stewart was there, but he wasn't. But but Tyler was somebody I've been talking about bringing in because not just wrestling, because his wrestling career wasn't a huge, the biggest, but he still, did some stuff. He's 6'10". He's him and Kevin Nash, and he was in the tag team. But the movie thing I thought would be great to bring him in. You guys, you can meet him and talk about Halloween or X-Men. But I found out today that there's a new movie coming out called Deadpool 3, and it looks like someone's may just be in that movie as his old character from the first X-Men movie. Just a rumor that I heard, but
he is the ultimate Wolverine bad guy. So,
Wolverine.
He is the comic book nerd here. He is the ultimate Wolverine bad guy. So
and I loved him. I thought he was great, But when they got the other guy to do it, I can't even remember who that was. Which the guy's good too, but Tyler was so much better than I thought, So I'm excited to hear that they're going to bring him back on that. That's going to be really cool. So
I saw stills from some of the production with Sabretooth, and I couldn't tell who was playing it.
Well, from what I hear, from what I hear, he's back. I don't know. You never know. And as far as the Goldberg thing, like I said, my contact with the Goldberg thing, I I know there was a price, but at the same time, it's one of those things that just really led to nothing. They talked about it, but it would still be great to bring him in. And another buddy, Glenn Jacobs, was in Bowling Green Thursday at the high school there, talking to the kids and all that stuff. He's making the rounds, wanting to run for governor and all that kind of stuff. And there's a good possibility because we're the only company around that's done shows with Glenn Jacobs around here. And there's another good possibility that we could do something with Glenn in the pretty near future.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. That kind of stuff is really cool. But the other news I got today, money-wise, is so good. You're doing right when you don't even have to go out and find shows. They find you. Me and Herb talk about that all the time. Herb, most of his wrinkles is because he's got too many people that want him to put on shows, And I used to go, that's. I just want to do 6 shows a year, if that. But now I'm in the same boat. I don't know how to fill up. I don't know how to get half the people to do half the things that I need to do. But we're going to do it because like Dan Severn says, Searcher, money is everywhere. You just got to be willing to go out and get it. So that's what we're going to do.
That's true. I mean, it's definitely been the last few years has been great for business. I think that for everyone. I do wonder, kind of like the whole situations going on in like WWE and TNA, because TNA just fired Scott D'Amore, and then the whole Vince, what kind of rehash that's going to make when that all opens up. And then you hear about NWA not doing too good, especially since they lost the WB contract to be on their channel, and AEW, the attendance is, from what I heard, has been down here this last year. So, I mean, it seems like it's great for independent wrestling, but for the big four, I don't think it's except for, I guess, WWE signing that $5 billion deal with Netflix. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. But
the greatest thing with that is independent. You can spend $100 and you get 3 hours worth of entertainment. It's $400 for 2 people to go an AEW show, and people come out disappointed.
Well, I'll slash that. Searcher has got the best deal on tickets. Front row is $10, and then general admission is $5. So you're talking about a family of 4 can go for $20, and it's not like the drinks or the food is expensive either. I mean, he keeps the price down. A full night's worth of entertainment, $50, and you might even walk away with some merch. I mean that's your whole agenda right there is to keep it cheap for the family, right?
Well, that was my goal. I'm not saying I'm rich, but I've had really good jobs. I've educated myself, and I know how to save money. I'm good with money, I guess you could say. But I didn't want to do ACW. ACW was actually the brainchild of Marcus Mansfield, Mark Morton, and Glenn Jacobs. Glenn was about to retire, but he still wanted to do some little stuff in Tennessee, and he would have loved to come back and work with Mark. So Mark was like, hey, Glenn and me, we want this federation to start up. And I didn't want anything to do. In fact, I didn't want anything to do with promoting because I did all this stuff with MPW and then FTW, and it really hurt my own career because instead of traveling so much, I got hooked. Like I felt obligated to stay with those guys, and because I turned in to be the booker and all. That's a weird story, all that. But I really didn't want to start a Fed. But when you're asked by 2 guys that you really respect and love, and it's and like Mark said, hey, where do you want your kids to go if they want to get into wrestling? Because Mark has daughters and a son, and I have a son and 2 daughters, and Vaughn wanted to get into wrestling, and so did Blake, which was Mark's. So I was like, okay, as long as we're partners, I'll do this. And because I already had the ring, I already had all the equipment and all this stuff. Had just been sitting forever. So anyhow, I started with them, and then it was going great. We did a show with Glenn, and that went fantastic. We made a shit ton of money on that, and really pleased the fans, and it was going good. And then Mark got cancer, and it still sucks.
Oh yeah.
And Mark died, and that it just was so tough. And so now I'm like, what do I do here? I mean, I got this federation, and Glenn, you know, his you know, he's the governor, or he's the mayor, and he's so busy, he's all this stuff. So, you know, he was never supposed to do anything but come in maybe 3-4 times, whatever, a year. And I'm not best friends with him. I don't talk to him every day. Me and Mark talk to every day, and honestly, Glenn doesn't even really like me that much. He says he does, but we really don't have a relationship. But anyhow, so I just said I don't want to be like anybody else. I want to do this. I'm going to do it because Mark wanted it, and I wasn't going to give up on it. And so here's the reason why I do what I do. I have people come up to me all the time. How do you have this big giant screen, these great videos? How do you do the light show? How do you do the smoke? How do you do the setup? The entranceway is above and beyond par with anything you see on TV. The quality of the ring, the quality of the performance of the show, all of it, and then the guys, how they wrestle, and you just have the most entertaining. We keep it at 2 hours. And you have the most professional, entertaining show ever. I mean, I've had stars that come in and tell me this, you know. And I say, and at $6, how can everybody's charging $12, $15, and they got maybe a pop-up tent or not even an entranceway at all, no lights, and sometimes nothing. And they got a ring that doesn't have a ring skirt, and they're charging $15, $20, and they're like little backyarder guys that stand like 4'5", and they wouldn't know how to carpenter match if somebody said, I don't want to go into all that, but and they're like, how can you do that? And I go, because it's about the fans. It's $6. I could charge shit ton more. I don't want to. I don't care about the money unless my guys get paid, because I pay the guy. Everybody gets paid, and I don't care what anybody says. I pay the security, the concessions, the ticket people. I pay everybody. If you look at that ring, I'm going to try to pay you, and that's the way it should be. And wrestlers should be paid. Wrestlers a lot of times want to be paid way more than what they're worth, because sometimes, like I said, I want $150 in a room. Well, how are you going to justify that? If I put you on a flyer and nobody knows who you are, how do you justify $150?
Right.
So let's start slow here, buddy, because it is that. And Texan, a lot of my workers have made up to $400 to $500 to $600 in merchandise in one show. It's because it's the Walmart business plan. My wife has worked at Walmart for 21 years. And she, through the years, she tells me some stuff. She goes, that candy and magazines and all that stuff at the register when you're leaving? She goes, that's called impulse buying. You've already bought everything you want, but if you're standing there waiting to cash out, they put cheap stuff there, and you're like, you know what? That's only $1. I'll buy that. You know what? That's only $3. I'll buy. And the next thing you know, you got another $20 to $30 off there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's genius. So what I did with wrestling was, I'm like, yeah, you get into cheap. Like you said, a family comes in, he goes, got 4 guys, tickets are $6. That's $24. Okay, I get them in here. That's so cheap. I like got in here for nothing. Well, on the right side is great merchandise, and on the left side is popcorn, because popcorn makes everybody hungry. And everything is cheap, even the merchandise, the food. And the next thing you know, and I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the next thing you know, they're releasing a lot more money than they thought, but they don't feel like they've been screwed.
Right.
Because I've had fans tell me, and I've said it myself, if I go to a show and I pay $15 to get into a show. And I'm sitting there, and it's like 5 minutes till bell time, and there's 40 people in the audience. And I'm like, man, I just dropped $80 to get in here with all my friends and stuff. And then the show starts, and it's like really bad. You feel like you've been taken. You feel like you're the dumbest guy in the room. I paid for this, and then you got the wrestlers hanging out with, nachos, dirty nachos on their shirt and shit, telling you, hey, my real name is Tommy and I work down the street. And you're sitting there going, the illusion, there's no illusion. There's no entertainment value here. And I just lost a bunch of money. You lose fans. And that's what's been happening. But when you go to ACW, you see real stars. You see them when they come to the ring. And that's it. They don't hang out. They come out, they wrestle, and then they go back in, because if you want to see them again, and they're worth seeing again, you're going to pay to see them again. That's how it works. And it's like a movie. I don't want to go to a movie and see, like Wolverine slice a guy up, and then in the middle of it go, stop. Now, I'm not the real Wolverine. I'm actually an actor. So just keep that in mind, and I'll be selling my CDs and my shirts over there in the corner later on. So we don't want that. We want the illusion that Hugh Jackman is the real Wolverine. And that's what people want, and that's what I do. So I make sure the wrestlers stay in the back and are professional. Kayfabe is very, very important. But the biggest thing is I give a quality show at cheaper than anybody else, and when they walk out, I have more real fans. I don't have smarks. I don't have the smarks. And if they do come, who cares? I like smarks too, but I have fans, and I hear it all the time. I didn't even know what this was really. I just came here because it was $6 and had nothing to do. This is great. I'll be back every time. We have a great core, fan. Like I said, we have almost $800 sold right now for our next show online. I mean, that's what you got to do. That's how you build a territory. There's not one building I go and just do one show at. For the last 5 years, I've gone back over and over again to the same towns and the same venues, and the crowds have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And I know that's good. But the number one thing I want to do for people is memories. Like I said that a million times. I want them to come, have a good time. It's cheap, memories. And like I said, we all go to these shows and stuff where you got to watch, your kid play or something. Like I said this last time. You sit in a chair more than an hour or two, your ass hurts. 2 hours is the perfect time. Even a wife that didn't want to be there will say, you know what, that was a fun time. It was cheap. So that's what we do. It's keep it cheap, man, but high quality. Cheap with high quality. That's what we do.
I do want to I want to apologize because I said 10 and 5, but is it actually 10 and 6?
10 and 6.
Okay.
10 and 6. It's always $6. Yeah.
And, so that extra dollar, that was probably for the state, just because the state wants a little extra money this time of year.
The entertainment tax is what I call it.
The entertainment tax. Yeah. So anyone who don't know, the Missouri side of things, we have to have licenses, and promoter has to have a license, and then like the wrestlers have to have blood work done and physicals done, and then they have to pay for the license itself. So I mean, the wrestlers are out, a pretty good chunk right at the beginning, because you have to have the license to even try to get on a card. Well, now, instead of sticking it all to the wrestlers, they're actually sticking it to the promoters, too, and charging them for every single person in the building. So, like, even at an outside show, if that person were to just walk by and stood there and looked at the wrestling show for a while, that promoter has to pay for them. It's crazy.
I thought they were trying to repeal that.
A lot of people were calling and bitching, but they never repealed it. And I know that's a sore subject for searchers, so I don't want to get too drawn into it. But
it's not too bad. But the thing is the state is a lot better than what people think. Tim Lukinoff does the best he can. There's a lot of idiots in this business, and they try to get away with a lot of things. they have to make money. Just what I said there. For me to put a show on, it's about $800 every show. That's before you do anything. That's what when they get licensed, they think it's got to be a moneymaker. Well, when you got to because you have a permit you have to get, which is $150. You have to have a promoter's license. You have to have a $35,000 bond to run in Missouri. How some of these people because they get their buddies or friends. I don't know how these people, they don't last because you can't keep throwing away $700 to $800 and only getting 65 people in the door and stuff.
Right.
You can, and then when you charge that $15, $20, which is what they end up doing, well, it doesn't last because the people won't come, and the quality of the show is not good, so the people don't come back. But I'm fine with the state, what they're doing. I understand, and not only do they do the surcharge, but they also charge me tax on every ticket that comes in the door. I'm fine with it because that's what, you can't beat the government. You can't beat that. But it does, it can hurt at times, but I just wish, I don't have a problem with it. What I do have a problem with is when you have successful promoters like me. I think we should be asked on certain things and certain people, because I don't think most people should even have a promoter's license because they don't know what they're doing and they're killing the business.
Yeah.
And some of them are very shady, and like I said, there's people that's come into Pacific that has really screwed that town up. I don't even run in Pacific. I don't live in Pacific. I haven't lived in Pacific in years, and I'm not from Pacific. Now I'll be going to Eureka now, because I don't want to go in Pacific because they've ruined it. It fucking stinks from them assholes going in there. High fucking prices with a shitty fucking show, and it gets irritating. Hey, look, if you're going to do a business that someone's worked hard to build up, like I have, then you need to come in with quality shows and make your own territory. Don't come try to steal from my territory. So, yep. Yeah, you're damn right. I sandbagged every one of them. That's why your show sucked. That's why nobody comes to them. And the people that do come to them, they would probably either smarks or they think, oh, that's ACW. And in fact, the first time they got into this building, they used my name as if I was part of their fucking federation.
Wow.
Oh, they're losers, and I just hate. I really do. I love this business, but I hate most of the people. It's like the government. I love my country. I hate my government. And a lot of people in this business, it's just, man, if you've been in the business for 20 years and you're still not good at it, you still can't draw, you still can't put a match together, you can't get over in a match, and you don't know how to carpet or put a match together to make any money, why are you still in this business? Are you such a loser with such an empty heart that your daddy didn't freaking hug you so much that you got to get out in front of like 14 people and say, I'm the champ, and you're the one who put the belt on yourself? You're the freaking booker. You're the freaking promoter. And you're the fucking champ, and it makes you feel good. You lay in bed at night going, look at my belt that I bought off eBay, and I'm the champ. You're a freaking, look at my face, man. I got scars on my knuckles. I've had real belts. I made lots of money in cages. I made lots of money in the ring. I've been over, and I will always be over. I was successful as a wrestler, and I'm successful as a promoter because I don't ever screw anybody over. So all the other people out there, and you know who I'm talking to, all the tough guys out there that don't do shit when you're in their face, but when they're online or when they're not around, oh, I told him to fuck off, or bullshit. None of you have. Y'all a bunch of losers. I swear to God, man, I get so irritated by it. You know what my shows are? Y'all a bunch of tough guys. Bring your ass down there. I'll give you what you want. Stay out of my territory, because if you don't stay out of my territories, I'm going to come to your territories with $6 tickets, and I will destroy you. I will take away every single thing you got. Plain and simple. My school is better. My federation is better. My wrestlers are better. And I'm better. And if I really want to get it back into it, I'll start wrestling again, and I'll bury you all. Promo over. I'm in a bad mood.
Version of torture.
Yes, Bobby.
Sorry.
So how do you really feel again? I wasn't too. I don't think
he loves other promotions that move into his area and use his name.
Yeah, I think you're a home back searcher.
I swear. And, Herb does it all the time. Who's the most hated man in wrestling? Herb. Why is he hated? Because he's successful, and he will tell you how it is. He'll tell you the truth. And I've never had a problem with Herb. I've always had a good friend in Herb, and we have a good working relationship. When he has a show or something that is close to me or that he can do, we do it together. And the same with I would do with him. We've done shows together. We could help. The territory could be bigger. Like Illinois. My guys, once they're done over here and they've been worked through over here, send my guys over there that have never seen him before, and he can send some of his guys to me. Well, me and Herb's not the only ones that can do that, Right. Everyone could benefit from that, but nobody wants to do that because there's no real professionals in this business. So everybody thinks they've reinvented wrestling, that somehow they're better, somehow they're smarter. But yet, the only reason I say what I say about what I do is because I've proved it time and time. Look it up in the state. I have the biggest crowds, over and over again, repeat crowds, over and over again, best shows. I'm not saying it because I just say it, and if I say it, my reality changes and Searcher's great. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's proof. It's proven. I don't give a shit. I mean, I don't know. It's just, why can't people get along? Well, I'll tell you why people can't get along. It's because everyone wants to call this a business. Like Kevin Nash said, everyone wants to call this a business until you start treating it like a business. And then they're like, oh, well, you're not going to let me win? No. You're not going to let me in your little club? No. You didn't earn it, so you don't belong there. So until you really work hard and really build a territory or really build real wrestlers, stay out. Go wherever you want, but don't come near me.
And like I said, Herb has got the same problem. I mean, it's really not a problem, I guess I should say. They always try to come closer to Herb's territory. And some of them have mainstayed in the territory, like in the Mascoutah area and stuff like that. But it's really not a problem because, Friday, we had our first Friday show in forever. I can't even remember the last time we ran on a Friday.
And I said, Dr. Drew, he said like 10 years. Been over 10
every
years.
seat was already reserved before the doors even opened. So that was, every seat that we normally have. So when the walk-in people that came just because they just now heard about it, we had to get all those chairs out and supply them with chairs. So, I mean, they're trying like they're, like they want to try to grab from his territory and grab his audience, but the quality of the product just speaks for themselves. And so the audience is always going to go where the quality is. So
that's it.
Yeah. So now that we got that out of the way,
did we really get anything out of the way? No.
No,
it's like
because
roaches.
Next week it's going to be the same thing. They're always going to come back and they're always going to try to take a little bit more than they took last time. Or, like you said, keyboard warrior it up and try to draw some heat that way. A lot of people do that nowadays. But,
I don't even know that. I don't.
Face again.
That's the deal. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just crazy. And it's never going to end. Especially in Illinois, since you don't have to have a license in Illinois. You can just, rent someone's place and throw in a wrestling ring, and now you got a promotion there. So it's, Missouri's just got a little bit better, I think, just because you have to throw some money down up front to get your promoter's license and the insurance, like you said. Did you say it was $35,000 or $3,500?
You have to have a $35,000 bone, not insurance. You have to have a bond.
You do bond.
A surety bond, and you have to have insurance on most shows, almost every show. I mean, you have to. I've carried a lot of insurance. I have. You have to have safety rails. And that's another thing. The shows shouldn't go on if they don't have rails or insurance. The shows shouldn't go on. There's a lot of things, and the state. They try to be as nice as they can. The problem, like I'll tell you, the problem with Tim Lukinoff his biggest problem is he's nice to people. He's been nice to people, and they've burned him in the past. And unfortunately, he's going to blanket, everyone with, rules and stuff like that, and he has to come down on them because of one or two people, what have you. Unfortunately, the good people get thrown in that too. There's really nothing you can do about that. But it is sad though, because certain people, like, there's drama in everything. I play music. I play blues. I'm a member of a couple of blues societies, and I go to jams, where you just get up and play. You get up and you sing a song or two, and there's always someone who thinks it's a personal concert just for them. They don't want to get off the stage. There's some artists that don't like other artists. You get up there and one guy never stops soloing. Like someone's trying to sing or play, or they take their turn, and that other guy won't shut up.
Oh,
so
wow.
there's sports like like hockey. My kids were in every sport you can think of, and there is drama in every podcast, and there's drama in everything. So you're never going to escape it. So you just have to deal with it. So I just deal with it. What can you do?
I can give you the personal story of I wanted to fight a referee Sunday at my son's wrestling tournament.
That's probably a bad.
No, that referee was an idiot. But anyway,
we're gonna see you on video one day.
It's possible.
That's what I'm striving to do. I got a couple of partners and a couple of investors, and then we do have money, but we haven't found the right place or whatever. But my next thing is I don't want to work for anybody. I have a very good job, but also own my company, and I have another little company too. But I don't want to work for anybody one of these days. And what I want to do, you talk about sports, is I'm working on, we're trying to get a big building to where during the week, because everybody knows every high school gym, every middle school gym is jam-packed every day of the week with sports because it's so popular. In fact, my Pee-wee or Little League, or what do they call it, when the 4 years old, 5-year-old, they're just barely starting out.
Yeah.
They can't find anywhere. They get bumped left and right for practices. My dream is to have a big sports complex, have practices of sports during the week, but on the weekends, because I have connections in wrestling, I have connections in comedy, I have connections in music, and just have a great event center. And I think the sports would pay for it. And then and that's my dream. That's what I've been working on for the last, I say, 3 years, trying to get, and I do got good investors, and we do have a good amount of money, and we do have some places where we think would be good, but, one day the pieces will fall together. And I hope one day that, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'd rather try and fail than never try, so.
Of course.
But sports, I love sports. Martial arts and sports helps develop young people, just like the military. I tell people all the time, sports, martial arts, and military, if you go to those and you compete in that, you learn team, you learn not to quit, you learn, what it is. If you really win, you work for it. I think that's great to help develop our younger generation, no matter what. Just like the Skull Canyon Dojo. I've got as young as 14, 15, 16. I've got them all. And you want them, I say all the time, and I say it to every trainee, what's your home life? What do you do for a living? Because if your home life isn't straight, because this is all a hobby, just like in sports, martial arts, anything else, if you don't have a good home life, if you don't have a car to get to point A and point B, if you don't have money to pay for sweats or knee pads, or if you are irresponsible and you can't show up when you should show up every Sunday and Tuesday nights, but we do it mostly every Sunday, but we also have Tuesday night classes, you're never going to make it, because nothing great comes with easy. Always the best thing to do is the hard thing to do. So I think owning a complex like that would be great, man. We could really, really change some kids' futures, and I think we could put on great entertainment stuff. It's a dream. I hope it comes true, but hey, man, you never know.
I can tell you, there's a lot of kids that need that kind of stuff. Like, we got this one kid right now. I talked to his grandma for about 30 minutes before he finally came out and signed up. And he's never got it off of Fortnite. And I'm expecting like this fat nerdy kid or something, but no, he's a little smaller guy, but like just picked on and everything else. And like his dad came up to me the other day. He's like, I want to thank you guys. He is so happy like about practice. Like he's never been excited to get out of the house before, but like he wants to come to practice every Tuesday and Thursday. And it's like that right there was like worth it.
That is
right. It builds up the confidence in the kids, you know.
Yeah.
The American way, man.
This kid's about 9-10 years old, and like he just never wanted to get out of his house or anything. But this was the one thing like he is excited to get out for. It's come to wrestling practice.
That's cool. That's cool. And you know, so Bobby, I don't know if you know, Richard. He teaches at the Little Devils here in Belleville. So it's football and it's wrestling, you know. But what age groups? You do a pretty good.
I said we have as young as 4-year-old wrestlers. We don't make them go nearly as serious until they get more to the 5-6-year-old, and then all the way up to 14.
Yeah, and here in Belleville, they used to have Corey League. I don't know if they have that in Missouri or anything like that, but Corey League ran forever. And a couple of years ago, they just closed up, shut down all the fields, and that was done. No more kids' youth baseball or anything. And I think that was one of the worst things Belleville could have done. But it's little companies like the Little Devils and soccer has kind of come into Belleville and became pretty big, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know, every kid I think had a dream of playing baseball at some time, at least outside with their father or with their friends. And I think that was a pretty big blow for kids around this area when they lost Corey League. But yeah, so I definitely, wish you good luck on that, on your dream, because I mean that's, you know, anything that can benefit the next generation. I talked about this before, that it seems like this generation and the younger crowd is not, man, this could really get me kicked off the air, but they're not they're not manly men anymore. They're not masculine. They're not. I don't know how to explain it any further without getting kicked off the air, but you know,
we own the air. They can't kick us off.
Well, you know, it'll get us a lot of heat, because and I'm not saying that little boys need their fathers, but little boys do need their fathers to show them how to be a man. And sometimes that's not there in the family situation anymore, you know, and or a man substitute in their life. It doesn't really have to be the father, you know, for a male figure in their life, I think goes a long way. And what's I'm going to probably butcher this, but strong men make easy times make weak men. Weak men, I think it goes back that weak men create harder times, and harder times create stronger men. So it's like a full circle, and I think we're in that easy times are creating weaker men right now, because you know, you don't have to go out and kill for your supper. You don't have to walk out and try to kill for your supper. You know, everything's pretty much handed to a lot of people now. So it's, I don't know. I'm just going to ride my mouth.
I say, you're trying to be all fancy words and everything. I just say we pussified our generation.
Man, that's it right
there. you know what's really bothersome is, you know, my grandson Ty, when he was like 7 or 8, you know, YouTube's really popular, and he would watch all these videos. What are you doing? He's like, I'm watching videos of guys playing video games, and I didn't really think about it. But dude, you know what's really popular for these young men to watch is 40-year-old, sometimes 50-year-old men acting like 4-year-olds playing video games. So that's their male role models instead of seeing, like wrestling. That I swear to God, our shows, I've seen more and more younger kids standing on the chairs, more and more younger men, younger boys, and girls going, I want to wrestle, I want to, and that's what we need. I think it's going to come back, dude. I really do. I think this country, I think our government, this government today, they don't. Oh my God, dude, they're trying everything they can to change and alter this country forever. It's not going to work.
Let's say very far out of touch.
Yes.
Very, very, very far. I'm all for, live and let live. But why is it that the strangest people and the weirdest people are always the ones got their boot on your throat saying, my way or the highway? I'm so tired of it. Well, I'm so tired of being told that I need to be more patient, more tolerant by people that I can't even have a conversation with without them going off the chain and going crazy. I'm done with it, and I don't care anymore. I'm going to raise my grandkids and my kids and my students and whatever I can the way I was. I'm going to put my shows on. The American, the national anthem will play every show. We'll call it American Championship Wrestling. The American flag is everywhere, and it's the American way. I don't care about other countries. I don't care what Brazil does. I don't care what Mexico does. I don't give a shit what Europe does. I don't live there, and I don't want to live there, and I've been to all those places, and I don't like the way they live. I don't want it. I want the American way, and if that makes me a terrible person, that's fine with me. Just stay away from me then. Don't talk to me. Don't come around. I don't need any of you. You need me. I don't like these inner cities and stuff. The city is falling apart. Like I'm in the city. I said this the other day. It drives me nuts, and I know this is not what we're supposed to talk about, but this drives me nuts. All these city leaders talk about the environment and talk about guns. Need to get rid of guns. Guns is so dangerous. Well, I drive into St. Louis every day. From the second you drive down the highways, down the roads, trash is everywhere. Burnt out buildings. Nobody gives a shit about the environment. And that whole city is ran by the biggest libtards you can find. And the gun violence is everywhere. They're shooting left and right. They don't give a shit one. You're damn right that every weekend I'm shooting guns. You're damn right that every day you can hear gunfire in my neighborhood. I live in the woods, but you know what they're doing? They're target practicing. They're getting ready to hunt. No one's getting killed out here. No one's stealing and killing out here for bullshit reasons. And, I just heard a statistic. If you took away, we are number 3 in the whole world of gun violence. But if you took away the gun violence statistics for the cities of St. Louis, Chicago, I think it's Boston, and 2 other ones, Detroit, and one more. If you took those 5 cities out of that equation, we would be 104th in gun violence. So what's that tell you? None of your stupid ass laws are working. None of that stupid ass environment stuff. We clean our yards up. I mow my lawn. I don't have trash piled up like they do downtown. But those are the same people and I have guns all over my house. And these are the same people telling me I need to get rid of my guns and I need to be more in tune with the environment. Man, people need a real wake-up call. Clint Eastwood once said, a man's got to know his limitations. And you know what that means? That means you got to see yourself for who you really are. There's too many people in this world that do not pay attention to who they really are. They live in a fantasy world, and they just want to be your boss. They just want to tell you what to do. And it's like I tell people all the time about being a boss and a leader. You know why there's very few really good bosses and leaders? It's because a real boss and a real leader has the guts to speak up, make the right decisions at the right time, even if it's wrong. And he has the guts to take the responsibility. And if that was the wrong decision, he will accept the responsibility. Most people want to be a boss and a leader, but they don't want none of the responsibility. They just want the power. It doesn't work that way, folks. It doesn't work. So just leave us alone. Just live and let live, and leave us all alone. And stop sending my tax money to millions and millions of invaders and stuff. Give me $150,000. I'll be really good with it. I'd spend a lot. I'd do a lot of money, a lot of things with $150,000. Maybe $10,000 on a card. You know, geez, I was born here. I don't get shit. I don't get it.
Right. Just think, if you were to just come through Mexico, a lot of these states are giving them room and board and food allowance and everything else. Medicare, you know.
So if we go on a cruise so if we go on a cruise or a flight, do we no longer need our passports or our birth certificates or proof of insurance and our license? Because that's what you got to get to get back in the country. But
I say we still need it, but illegal immigrants do not need that. It is optional for them to ask illegal immigrants in the airport on the TSA website.
And I have lots of friends that are Japanese, that are Mexican, that came from other countries. Their parents came from other countries. 10 years it took them to become citizens, and they're proud of it. They love America. It's unfair. I mean, let's put it like this. If you got a job that pays $15 an hour, okay, and you're like, oh, 15, I could barely get by on 15. But then you got all these migrant workers now coming in, and they'll work for $3 and $4, and these people will pay them. Even those $15 jobs are going to go away. Don't people realize what's going on? We're killing our own country, this government, for power, because what they want is for these people one day to make them where they can vote. Well, if you give them free house, and if you give them free money, and free cars, and everything free, and they're going to say, all we ask you to do is vote this certain way. Mm-hmm. Of course they're going to vote that way. You think I'm stupid? That's exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah.
That's why they hate Trump, because he's not a politician and he called them out on their shit. And dude, am I 100% agree with Trump every time? No, but at the same time, I'd rather have somebody that's more like me than a politician that's never had a job, that doesn't know a damn thing. Do you realize the very people that's in charge of our money hire accountants and can't write a check? None of them can write it. These politicians are so rich they can't even write a check. I bet they couldn't figure out how to work an ATM, but they're in charge of our money. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm pretty sure you're going to cut all this out, but nope. It's worth saying. Worth saying.
No, we ain't going to cut any of this. This is, it is touchy grounds, but whatever.
I will play the other side of it really quick, though, where you talk about 10 years to become a citizen and stuff. And, like, I've talked with Ricky Cruz about a little bit of that before, with how he used to help people take tests. That part does need streamlined a little bit. But all of it still needs to be done, just a little quicker.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we need immigration anyhow. And it's another subject. For the last 50 years, we've done everything we can to make people not have babies in this country. Let's give them, and look, abortion is a lot of people, there's a lot of reasons to do abortions. I don't think it should be a contraception, because there's like 30, 40 different ways not to have a baby. But the deal is like, people need to start having some babies, because we need to fill up our own country. We don't need to go, let's bring all these people in from the prisons. Let's bring all these people in that their country don't even want them, and fill our country up with them. And I don't want that. I'd rather have everybody in here having babies, and instead of the other way around. I don't understand. I just don't get. It's so easy to make like the easy decisions. Get married, have some kids, or at least have some kids, or whatever. But I don't understand why it is so important to just, everyone wants to live like they're 15 again and no responsibility. Man, you're 30 years old. You're not 15, and you should have responsibility. So pay your dues and pay your tax. I mean, I could go all day long. I hate this world. I hate this world. I'll be glad one day when I'm gone, because I will die with a smile on my face, because I love living, but at the same time, my grandfather once told me, he goes, dude, one day you're going to drive down the street, same streets, and you're going to go into buildings, same buildings, but you won't know the streets anymore. They'll be all different, and the people in the building you won't know, and everyone you know and love will be gone, and that's when you know you don't belong here anymore. And the older you get, that's what happens to you. I'm not I'm not a fan of most things in the world today. I hate to say it. So I'm not saying I hate life, but I like my little aspect of life, and I'm not trying to push it on anybody. I don't think I've ever forced anything on anybody. If they like what I like, great. They don't, great. But that's the whole world's like that now. You got to think this way. You got to dress this way. You got to like this person. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't like brown licorice. I don't care how much you tell me it's great or wonderful. I'm not going to eat it. I don't like it. So stop forcing me. And that's the way I feel everything is today. It's like you talk about WWE. WWE is not a wrestling company anymore. They're a television, a production. Wrestling to them is it's advertisement.
Yeah.
That's all it is. They're not, because they used to survive just on house shows. That's where they made their money, and that company was built on how many fans really liked what they were doing and would pay to come see it. Now they don't care about house shows. They don't care about none of that stuff. All they care, when's the last time a good house show come around? They don't care about that because they got 9 hours of wrestling in 1 day or 2 days. It's just too much. That's too much wrestling too. That's a problem too. You can't oversaturate anything. Too much of anything is never good for you. And what did Jim Cornette said? They can't miss you if you won't go away.
Yeah. I just want to throw one more thing in there about the whole making babies thing. I think it's either Japan or China. I want to say it's China that kind of screwed themselves over because they had that only one child limit. And now they're realizing that there's not enough younger people to take care of all the older generations because they only had, they're only allowed to have one child. So they can't sustain it. And so it's crazy.
It's all about leadership, man. And our schools, you got to have good leaders in schools. Like you got to have teachers. Like you train. You're talking about him teaching wrestling and sports and stuff. We have to have good leaders, and that starts with a teacher or a coach or a mentor, and that's what we need more of. Yeah, man, you got to have a future. Think about the future. If you're on a boat and there's 4 of you and there's only 2 bottles of water, I don't think anybody should be chugging the water. You won't last long.
2 of the weakest people are going over the side. I can tell you that much.
Hell no, that's gonna be my dinner. I've seen too many movies like that. You need to save them, even if they are weak. You need to keep them going. So, besides this show coming out this Saturday, what is the future? And I know you have that big thing going on, but is there any other big things going on in ACW this year that you want to talk about or shout out?
I have, when my wife last year, we thought she had cancer. I was about to quit, and that's when a lot of people were like rumors started up. Oh my God, what's happening with Searcher? Searcher's quitting or something. He's tired of people talking, and that's why. No, I thought my wife was dying of cancer. And we went through surgeries and all kinds of stuff, and I didn't quit. I just got to slow down. We said we were just going to do 4 or 5 shows a year after that, because we never, go on vacation. We never get to do a lot of things. But now I got a show every month. Some of them, 2 shows a month. I've got a bunch of paid shows coming up. It's growing and growing, and that's what I'm trying to say is you got a real company. It's a real company. It's not like I don't know. When we first started it, it was like, we got a show every couple of months. It wasn't a real company, and the belts didn't really matter. But now it's a real company, and it's really going, and it's taken off pretty good. I mean, I got a show. I'm booking in the next year already, and I'm barely into this year.
Wow.
And like I said, and this thing I got today, because it goes good, I guarantee you it will go again good next year. The revenue, I will say, I will rival. I would I would put my revenue I'm going to make alone that I know for a fact on paid shows this year. I would probably put it up against almost anyone around because I'm shocked by how much is going to go through ACW, and we only want to keep growing, and that's what we want to do. Everybody keeps saying, when you get in TV, when you get in TV, when you get in TV, and because I did TV, and all that, I would do TV, but it has, like I said, I think we talked about it last time too. It has to be right. It has to be. I don't want it on the internet. I think that's oversaturated, and I think it should be, same channel, same time, and if you miss that show, you miss that show. I think that's how you get the crowd to come back to that TV show every time. Is, oh, we can't record it, or we can't watch it, stream it, and watch it later. I don't want that. I want it to be on one time. And if you missed Xavier Frost going against Gary Jackson for the second time on TV, oh man, I missed that. Or man, it's going to happen. I can't miss that. I think that's how you make your money on advertising and stuff like that. Yeah. I won't do TV until I get that deal. And I have talked to some people. In fact, I was offered to buy my own network. I'm not kidding you. That sounds crazy, but all I had to do was say yes and pay for it. And I was going to do a 2-year deal at a flat rate, and I would own a whole network. And wow. I would be responsible for whatever goes on that network. And I had ideals, and I'm not, I don't want to say too much because it's still something I may do, but that is really something that would be really, really cool. But I can control it. But the problem with that is you have to justify spending the money on that. And if you fail, it's not the time for me. I don't have the right pieces in place as far as talent and as far as
time.
Toys to play. Time too. But yeah. Toys to play with. I just think that if we're going to do TV, I think we need to do it structured. Like I would go by what I learned in the past, which was a 3-month where you basically put the matches together and let them grow. Every 3 months, these two guys would definitely be going for the heavyweight title. And how will they get there? Well, they'll get there by wrestling the people that think they deserve it more. And then whoever ends up, it'd be more like a tournament. But every 3 months, those title matches would happen, and you would book around all that stuff. And in between that, you would have few, it would be real. And
closed curtain, too.
Yeah. But the problem with, like I said, the problem with it is I don't want to be like everybody. I never, ever, nothing else I do is like everybody else. And I don't, like TV, like Herb has his great TV, and I love that, too. But I don't want to, if I was to do TV, I don't want to do anything like that. I don't want to do anything like WWE. I don't want to rip anyone off. I would want to have something that I can't even reinvent. Like we have a slogan down at the dojo. It says here at the Skull Canyon Dojo, we don't teach you how to reinvent wrestling. We just teach you how to do it right. That's how I would want to do it for the TV. I don't want to make it complicated. I want to make it to where it's fun, easy, and I don't think I have the pieces yet. I don't think I have the right things. I'm getting close. And to be honest, I don't have the money just to throw away at it, but I'm getting close. Because that's what you're gonna spend like $6,000 for a 2-year deal, and that you're like, hey, am I okay with just throwing away $6,000 if this doesn't work out?
Yep.
I'm not there quite yet, but you never know. So
I can't tell you how many times I've heard Herb say this. How do you make $1 million in professional wrestling? You start off with 3. you start off with $3 million, and you're going to earn $1 million at the end of the
Well, me and Herb talk about that all the time too. We'll hear about like some mark will give some federation or some body a shit ton of money to run a federation, and these people really run it into the ground. They don't know what they're doing, and we always say, why don't anybody ever check out the waters and say, maybe those are the guys I should talk to because they're successful already. Maybe I should throw my money at those guys. But they never do that. You know why? Because they can't control us. Herb is, no one's going to tell Herb what to do because he knows how to run his show. He knows how to do what he's doing. So he's not going, just because you give him a little money, he's not going to sit there and say, yes, sir. Oh, you want that, you want that to happen, this happen? I will do that.
No,
and I'm
no,
not
no.
going to do that
Doesn't
either.
work like that.
No.
Yeah. Hey, why don't you plug that dojo? Is there a phone number they can call if they're interested in training?
You just go to the ACW on Facebook, or you can go to acwtheshow.com. So that's acwtheshow.com, or you can go to our Facebook Messenger and you message us and say you want to train. There's no charge to be trained except for one charge. The charge is that you have to help flyer, you have to put the show, help us set up, you have to help us, on the shows. There's all kinds of things you have to do. But we don't charge. We don't give any money. You don't give us any money. If you work out, then you'll become a wrestler, or you'll become a manager, or you'll become a referee, or you'll become whatever it takes. But I'm just a firm believer in, look, man, I've said this before.
They're earning their dues.
That's right. Because seminars drive me crazy and schools drive me crazy because they'll go, give me $500 and I'll train you for a month. And the first day they do 5-6 hours of calisthenics, and all the people that pay drop out. And they go, well, they're gone. They're never coming back, but I got their $500 or $50 or whatever it is. They didn't teach them anything. I just said this yesterday, training. We had Roy Lewis. You know Roy Lewis? He worked for us a bunch of times. Well, he came in and he would train with the students and stuff yesterday. And Roy was we do this thing called man in the middle. You come to training, you know what that is, but it's very, very intense training. And I got it from Dr. Tom. It's not my invention. Vaughn brought it up from Memphis, from Dr. Tom. But we was doing man in the middle, and it takes a while to do this. And Roy was kind of getting impatient. He's like, man, we need to get through this. You guys, because there's certain guys. Look, you have 5 guys. You have 2 guys that's probably in shape, and you have 3 guys that the trainers will never have anything to do. These 2 guys seem to just take to it like water, like they've done it their whole life. These 2 guys are going to be put up on a pedestal. They're going to be treated really, really good. These 3 guys, they couldn't bump right. It takes them forever to learn how to run the ropes. Take a lot of work. These guys are a lot of work. These guys, they will keep. These guys, run them off. Hey, we do this drill called chopping you. We're going to chop you over and over and over again. And chop. And if you can't take it, you're a loser and get out of this business. Or we're going to bump you over and over again. Oh, you can't bump? What do you mean you can't chain all this stuff? And the next thing you know, you got 2 guys and the 3 guys are gone. I don't do that. I have turned more, how can I say, like first thing we do is I see what kind of, if you can kick, see if you can throw a punch, see if you can do a cartwheel, see if you can do a front row. See, I want to see what kind of athlete you are. And I go from there. Dr. Tom said it best. You can't train everybody the same way. Mark Henry was not trained like The Rock. Dr. Tom didn't train The Rock the same way as he trained Mark Henry. They are totally different bodies. They bend different. They move different. They think different. So you have to have patience. And patience will make you money. Dude, I've had some of the best wrestlers I have. I don't think anybody would have ever trained them. I don't think they would have ever got past the first month if they went anywhere else, because I saw something in them that even they didn't see. I say it all the time. I can train anybody to do anything. This is a speech I give the first time, every time. I can train you to do anything. I can train you to wrestle. I can train you to be a martial artist. I can train you to be a better person. I can train you to be responsible. I can train you to do anything. There's nothing I can't do for you. There's only 2 things I can't do. I cannot make you mentally and physically tough. If you ain't mentally tough, you're never going to make it through, when all the rest of the class is getting it and you're not. When all the rest of the class is progressing, you know, further ahead, and you're being still on like level 1 or 2, and they're on like 6 and 7, you have to mentally go, you know what? I know I'm not there yet, and I want to be with my friends, but I'm going to have to take my time. I can't give you that. I can't teach you that. And the physical part of it, it is not easy. I've had guys come in, you know, military guys. I've had bodybuilder guys come in, and they throw up almost every time because, and I don't even do much to them because we always start with mats. We always start on mats. I don't let anybody bump on the ring in the beginning, the first couple weeks, because then they'll go away. They'll never come back, and they may get hurt. So they always start on mats. So that way they get comfortable with it, and then when they do fall, finally, they're falling the right way because it didn't hurt. And then once they hit that mat, they go, well, that did hurt, but at the same time, the way I fell, it didn't hurt as much as I thought. When in actuality, if they would have bumped before they were really properly trained, they would have messed their elbow up, shoulders, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But that's true. The thing is that I have trained for a very, very long time, people, and I didn't, you know, I came up with a lot of it, but I was trained by Dan Severn. I did all kinds of seminars with Dan. That's where the bulk of my training, and then the things I've learned from all the guys I've worked with, I just pass it on. Right. But in my martial arts background, I've really mastered how to bring anyone in the ring and really get the most out of them. And that's what you'll get at the Skull Canyon Dojo. Dude, I'll make you a star. I'll make you where you can make money. I'll make you where you're walking around with your chest, you know, full of pride. I can do that for you. But it's on you, though. It's really on you. I can show you the path, but I can't walk the path.
Right.
I want to add something really quick. On the last show, I met a few of Jim's new students, and I'm not a professional wrestler. I failed miserably in wrestling anyway. They just talked too much. They just were talking too much, and they rubbed a bunch of people that have been in it the wrong way. And it's just excellent.
Well, that same aspect, the people that you met that talked like that, literally that was their first week in the business, first week in the training. So, you know, and some of those, they were only there that Thursday right before the show. So, you know, I still have to talk to them and work some things out, but that's a given. You know, that's kind of cool that you said that. I'm sorry, what, Nate?
But I gave a little advice to him and told him not to talk so much.
Yeah, and you know, I try to tell them the first thing they should do is keep their ears open and their mouth shut, but sometimes that doesn't speak loud enough to them. But repetitive, I'll get them. But what I was going to say, Searcher, is I talked about my first training was on a basketball gymnasium floor with the little wrestling mats. You know, kind of like Bobby and I was assuming what you were doing, but we were doing bumps on that. And I tell you, that shit was hard as a rock trying to bump on a gymnasium floor. And
there's no spring there, right?
No.
That wood doesn't give.
You know you know those yoga steps that you can like keep adding on so that you know you can get like 4 or 5 up in the air.
Oh yeah.
No joke. If someone wanted to learn something that dealt with going off the ropes, this guy would have a stack, 6 or 7 of those up in the air and pretend that was the corner post that you were jumping off of. I mean, that's how fucking crazy my first training was.
Who was that? Who trained you?
I wouldn't say he trained me all the way because I got my bulk of the training from MMWA, Gino, the Exterminator, who since now has passed. But my first ever wrestling experience was a guy named Blade. Not the same Blade that's around in the area. This guy is now living in Florida. But He would go by Joe Blade. Blade was the wrestling name, but as much as I joke about how bad it was, he was at least the first one who got me in the foot in the door per se, because he was my first reason, first time I ever got kicked out of Broadway, MMWA, because evidently he had gotten kicked out and didn't tell any of us. And when we were training at the local YMCA on their basketball courts, and once his check started bouncing, we got kicked out of the YMCA. So he actually moved us to Broadway on nights that he thought no one was going to be there. And so we would, actually have a ring, Broadway's ring, and we would get in there and, he would train us right on a ring. But eventually, little Tony, the promoter, who has also since passed, discovered us. He kicked us out right away. But that was my first being kicked out of Broadway. Of course, it was not my last time getting kicked out of Broadway.
Yeah.
But I have to give him credit. He's the one that came to my work. I was managing a Valvoline instant oil change, and he looked at me and goes, "Man, you're a pretty big guy. You ever thought about wrestling?" And big fan of wrestling, and I was like, "Man, I would love to become a wrestler." And so I mean, it was my foot in the door, and I, managed to get into with eventually with Herb and everyone, and you and everyone like that. So it kind of worked out for me. But
It did.
It's a weird start. But
it's funny. You talk about the exterminator, like Broadway. I worked for Broadway one night.
Really?
I did one match, an opening match at Broadway one night. John Blackheart, it was my first year in the business, came to a show in Farmington, Missouri, and me and Destroyer, which is the Butcher, we were tag team against Jeremy Lightfoot and Trevor Rhodes, Trevor Murdoch, and he was doing Trevor Rhodes at the time, and we was a tag team, and I got the match still to this day. Horrible match. I am terrible. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyhow, John Blackheart was there, and he came up to me and goes, "Hey man, I've never seen such a big guy be able to move and kick the way you do." He goes, "I worked out at Broadway, and won't you come down?" So I went down to their training thing, and they were going to put me on the card, but I was being booked already so many places, and me and Dingo from GCW. This was long before that. We were both down there, and we just hit it off like you wouldn't believe. And we ended up like training ourselves. Nobody really trained us. We just running around in the ring. And but you had to be down there and do that, he said. Well, they put me in the ring, opening match, and I'll never forget this. This is a true story. I'm standing in the locker room, and Tony was one of the nicest people to me. He was just as nice as can be. He goes, "Well, we got Searcher here tonight." And I had wrestled, and a lot of the guys kind of knew me. But he goes, "Well, we got Searcher here tonight. It's his first night, so we're going to see what he's got there." And I swear to God, Ron Powers could probably tell you this if he remembers. He goes, "Him and Ron look a lot alike. Maybe we could change his name to Mike Powers and put them together as a brother team." And he goes, and Ron goes, "Jeez, you gained a little weight, and now you're compared to shit like this." And I'm like, "Whoa, this is my first night, man. Ain't you supposed to be nice to me?" And everybody kept going, they're gonna hate you. No one's gonna know you out there. They're gonna hate you. Just stick with it. You're gonna be all right. So they put me in a ring with a guy named Big Daddy, not the Big Daddy from Broadway,
right.
But there's another Big Daddy.
450-pound guy named, me and Bob worked for him.
Had his own promotion for a little while.
Oh.
So there you go. So I was opening match, and Bob Orton was the state inspector. And Bob was sitting at the table with Tony and him, and so I go up to this this guy and I say, dude, this is my first night here. And, nobody gave me nobody was a producer or an agent. They just said, you're wrestling him. And I don't even remember if I went over. I probably didn't go over knowing me because I was such an idiot. I was like, dude, you want to pin me? Go for it. I don't care. But so I tell the guy, he goes, well, I'm not sure what to do. What you want to do? And I go, here's what we're going to do. And I had been traveling already, going on, and I was getting to business by this time. And so we went out and, hand to God, you can ask my wife or Bob Orton, we blew the doors off that place down. I flew over the top rope, out to the outside. I was so over. The second I walk out, people are screaming my name, search. They knew me, and I blew the doors off that place. And I went over the top, and I landed on the floor, and I rolled underneath. Swear to Jesus Christ, it's true. Rode under the table with Bob's feet and Tony, and Bob goes, I told you he was a crazy son of a bitch. I'm like, dude, that is the best fucking comment. And it was a great night for me. And then John goes, well, I don't know what, he called me a couple of days or weeks later or days later, and he goes, well, I don't know what you did, but you did good, and they want you back. Here's the dates. And I was already booked for all those dates, and I'm like, dude, I'm already booked. And he goes, where? And I told him what states and whatever, and he's like, well, if that's what, go for it, do that. So I only worked Broadway one time. Then you mentioned the Exterminator, Gino. Me and Gino were tag champions at a place called MOCW in Rolla. It was a company down there. They had a guy, Showtime, Shane Summers, and he was their main heel guy. His dad owned the federation, and me and Gino was the tag champions down there. And we were wrestling one night, and good old boys down there, real good guys down there. Gino breaks his neck in the ring.
Oh.
Yeah, he's down, okay, and I'm like, oh shit, Gino broke his neck, so he's laying in the ring and he's not moving, but I'm talking to him, holding his hand. Places just dropped out, going, oh God, this guy's hurt. Paramedics come in, and this is a true story, and so he's laying in the ring, and I'm like, this is the first time I've really seen somebody in the wrestling get hurt. I've seen guys get seriously hurt in fights and stuff, but this is like the first time I saw, because I saw it, and I think I got video of it too, because I recorded everything. I was the guy that set the camcorder up in the corner of the curtain with sticking out the curtain, and guys would go, you're a mark, you know that, right? I'm like, I just want to see this when I'm old, okay? So I recorded everything. So he's laying in the ring, the paramedics, and you know how paramedics, as soon as paramedics come in, they just start putting the neck brace on him and all, and they're asked how, and I don't know why paramedics do this, but the first thing they always ask anyway, you could have got your legs ripped off by a combine, and the first thing you're going to do is say, how you doing today? Not good. My legs are gone. And Gino, well, they're like, ask Gino, they're like, how you doing today? And he's like, I broke my neck, or I think something's really bad and stuff. So they get him in the brace and stuff. This is so true. They say, are you on any medications? Or do you have anything that we need to know about, alcohol, drugs, or anything? And he goes, nope, nothing. And then they go back to do, and all of a sudden he goes, well, wait a minute. And I'm not kidding you. He started listing off a list of stuff. I didn't even know what half the shit was. And he is still going. And I'm holding his hand, and I'm like, how the fuck do you take all this in one day? And I'm like, what the? But went to the hospital that night. I don't know exactly how bad it was because he did wrestle after that. I think he cracked a vertebrae or something. But it was pretty scary. But always had they had a lot of great times with him. We were way over down there. I miss him a lot. He was another one that, like, I went to Frank's funeral. Frank Reed passed away, and I went to his funeral Friday. Too many people were gone. And you know what people kept saying at the funeral? We all need to get together. We all need to get together. We don't need to be getting together for funerals and wrestling shows. We need to get. Well, I tried that with you people with the Hall of Fame. I just wanted a reunion, and y'all made that into a big heat thing. I just, hey, I just wanted a once a year reunion that every single Fed or worker could go there and feel comfortable about talking about wrestling and their stories without, the fear of fans being around, or because what have we been trying to do, Big Texan? You, my wife, your wife, we've been trying to get together not on a wrestling day because we love one another's company so much, but we never get to hang out because it's wrestling day, and
right.
That's what we all need to do. But, people just can't seem to really put that together for some reason or another. I'm not sure why.
Well,
And I didn't want to
the whole reason why we got together with the podcast is because so many are passing away, and we want to try and preserve the stories because we all love the stories.
And and that was the thing with the Hall of Fame. It had nothing really to do with the actual I just know that there's lots of Hall of Fames, but they're all like for a federation or for one thing or another. I just wanted one that was a blanket for that anyone can get into. And I don't mean just wrestlers either. We put in, referees, we put in managers, and the way the voting went down, you would, it wasn't just the older guys. It was just, you never knew who was going to go in. And I always thought that that's the way it should be. But you know what? I think it's much better just to run my federation and let other people do the reunions and the Hall of Fame stuff and all that, because I really, really got a lot of there was a lot of people that just, for one reason or the other, even though they got everything they could out of the Hall of Fame, they got their special night, they got their ring, they got their great night where they got to go up and do their speeches and stuff. And then afterwards, they're like, screw you, rest of you guys. Well, I'm not going to be there for those guys. I don't care about. They were there for you, though. Why can't you be there for them? Why can't you do that? And now I saw too much of that, and I just said, you know what? Tony Costas loved it. He used to come down there and have a blast. And when he stepped out of the truck one night, and he goes, so many people come to this thing. I'm surprised the Lumberjacks not here. And there they were. He's like, there they are. They're standing right there. And that's what I love the most about that thing there. But I don't know why we all can't get along. Well, I know why we can't get along, because we all think we're right and better.
So I know we didn't ask last time or this time yet, but how'd you come up with the name Searcher?
That's my grandfather gave that to me when I was 4 years old. I was living in Arizona at the time, and I got me and my twin brother got lost for a whole. I think it was 2 days or 3 days. I'm not sure what it was because I don't really remember. And they eventually found us. Unfortunately, my brother did not live. And my grandfather said, because he was trying to break, said he was trying to break the hurt of what all really happened. He was like, because my mom's like, what were they doing? What was, he said she'd grab me and, they would, what were you doing? What were you doing? And he said, he's just searching. He's always looking. He's a searcher, and that was my name from that moment on. And the place I was from was Skull Canyon, Arizona. It's a real place. And so I was in the bathroom at Lost Valley with Frank Reed the day after I went to that show I told you about last time, where I finally went there to confront him. And he said, hey, that's something I didn't tell you about. That was after I went there and got a hold of Frank. And then I did security that day, because he never called me and all that stuff. He ended up leaving the ring, trailer and all, in my driveway that night. So wow. I went from trying desperately to get into wrestling to sitting on my front porch at like 1 o'clock in the morning, staring at that trailer with the ring on it, going, what the hell just happened? And tomorrow we're going to Lost Valley, and I'm going to be security and start training tomorrow. And I was just like, I just sat there on that porch going, my dreams are going to come true now. And there's a ring, and it was just so weird. But I went to the bathroom, and we were washing our hands, and Frank goes, "Do you have any ideas on, a name or anything?" And I go, "Well, my family and everyone who really knows me calls me the Searcher, and I'm from this place called Skull Canyon, Arizona." And he goes, "That's all you need." Right. Because you know what Frank does, and I still do? Frank went, "Searcher, searcher, searcher, searcher. You can chant that. Perfect. That's all you need." And I was like, Because when somebody comes up to me with a name like, I don't know, I don't know, some weird name, I always say, can you chant that? If you're a good guy or a bad guy, can you chant that? Because you don't know how important, because you're new, you don't know how important that is, to have a relatable gimmick and a relatable, when I first got into it, I just ripped off The Undertaker because I didn't know what else to do. I did The Undertaker and Darth Vader. That's how I based my character. And so stupid.
That's a weird mixture.
It's so stupid.
Under Darth is good.
And what was so funny was I got my first boots that I still wear to this day. Had the same boots my whole career. I got them from a guy named MC Slammer. I paid $100 for them, and they're the best boots ever. They've lasted all these years. He probably paid $600-700 for them back then, but they had white soles, and I was so embarrassed because I was like, man, that looks so cool. I had a sweatshirt with the sleeves cut out, and I was jacked up, and I had to, get the long hair, and I looked so much like The Undertaker. I kept like, man, look at me, I'm so cool. But I would go, but look at those white soles. God, I look so stupid, So I went to a guy called Dr. Boots and had him put soles on them, and I go, dude, Kane is real popular at the time. I said, I want him like Kane. He's got lifts on him, So I want like an inch, if you could, or an inch and a half, if you could do that. But I want him to be higher, and I want him black. He goes, gotcha. I come back in about 2 weeks, and he had, those Herman Monster boots?
Oh, my God.
I mean, no shit. I should have took a picture. There's like 4 to 5 inches of, and he goes, perfect, right? And I'm like, I gotta be honest with you. No. I was like 7'2" in those things. I'm tall. I'm not the tallest guy in the world. But I was like, I would be way tall in those. I go, I can't work in those. And dude, he was so mad. He grabbed them and he took this knife. He's a boot guy, and he stabbed it. And because I guess they go in layers. So he pulled one layer off, pulled another layer off, and he do this number. He's like, and I'm like, nope. And he's like, and he goes like, and I'm like, nope. So we finally got him down to like, I don't know. Some people say 2 inches. People always do that to me. They walk up, you're tall. Oh, it's your boots. Yeah, man. It's just my boots that I'm taller than you. Okay, I got you. Yeah, but they're some people say like they're 2 to 3. No, they're an inch and a half, maybe more. But I also did that by design because I took my first suplex I ever took. I hit the heel on my heel, and it was like 3 months for that to heal. It was black and blue. I didn't want that to ever happen again. So those thick heels saved me for a lot of bumps and stuff. Because I like to bump. I think I was one of the first people to ever, like, I think it was Marcus Mansfield. I go, can you suplex me off the top rope? I was in the business for like 3 months. And I go, you think you can suplex me off the top rope? And he goes, what? Nobody wants to get suplexed off that top rope. And I go, I do. And so he suplexed me at the Calvin Theater off the top. No one ever trained me. I never even took a suplex. I just was going by what I saw on TV. And he just said, jump really hard. When I yank on you, jump really hard. That was one of the strangest, scariest things. Because I do backflips and stuff. So, when you do a backflip, you go up and you see the sky and then you land, Well, that was weird because, like, I went up and I could see everything, and I was like, I'm going to hit. I haven't hit yet. Why haven't I hit yet? I should have hit, and boom, I hit that ring, and I loved it, dude. I love taking bumps. I've always been a bumper. I love taking bumps.
So, I wanna tell this story since you brought up Big Daddy, and then you brought up the fact that you had a ring in your driveway. So Big Daddy, he had his own promotion at one time called Old School Wrestling. And we drove like 2.5 hours to go to his promotion that night to wrestle for him. And we had a verbal agreement on how much we were going to get paid. And that night, he like disappeared. He got the money and then left before the show was over. So no one got paid. And there was someone there who suggested that a mutual friend of ours at the time take his ring back to him. Well, that ring never made it back. In theory, his vehicle broke down on the side of the road, and he disconnected the trailer from the vehicle and was able to get the vehicle started and or towed or something. And when he came back for the trailer, the ring was gone. Now, a couple weeks later, this magical ring ended up being set up in this gentleman's backyard. Uh, but it wasn't the right ring because it didn't have the right turnbuckles on it because those were stolen from another place. You know, but yeah, but it was a fucked up night, and I laughed my ass off that what happened to him because he skipped out on all of us, and for someone to be so bold, which I now realize he wasn't that bold. It's just that's how he works. Was what is out there is his, and he takes it. But that night made me laugh when I found out that he done that, and then set it up in his own backyard, which to me was pretty crazy. And then, you know, of course, the cops got called and he got busted, and the ring got, you know, given back. But to me, you know, if you have an organization and you verbally commit to payment, and it was a pretty decent crowd, if I remember, that we all should have got what we were told, especially since it was like 2.5 hour drive to get to this place. So that's 5 hours of driving for that one night that he just decided that he was going to shaft everyone on. So I would have to say that I was actually glad someone did it, just to kind of stiff it to that guy. But yeah, I had to bring that up because he was I never worked with him in the ring. I only worked for him as he was a promoter. And I think we might have done it twice with him. And then the second time, it was the last time that he screwed us that we just like, no, we're not coming back to you. But those road stories is what makes this podcast because no one hears that shit. And as much as I dog on Matt Cardona for, you know, taking a video camera in the back of the locker room and displaying it at all. There's a good portion that he's in the car talking about things that have happened or who he's wrestled, and those are the stories I like. You know, I don't want the whole curtain pulled back and everything to be on display.
Yeah.
But the road stories, we had stories with a certain wrestler that would be traveling up and down the road with Harley, and you know, you would pop a beer for Harley, and once you heard that thing go out the window, you better had another beer popped and put in his hand. You know, and that's the kind of shit that we love to hear. But as long as there's wrestling and road stories like that and places that we can hear the story firsthand and maybe share, that's what we want to do here. Plus, we also want to give the promotions that are doing great the right way, you know, a place to come on and promote. You know, so definitely wanted to have you on. I feel like there's a part 3 in the making here because we've gone about an hour and a half already, and maybe even longer. So there's got to be a part 3, and maybe we can just have you on as a segment. You know, like every other show, just have you come on and and talk, because there's so much shit that we still have not pulled out of you. Like, we briefly talked about your podcast, and that is so entertaining. And we need to definitely just have one of our podcasts talking about your podcast and why you haven't brought that back. Bobby, you should really get on. I think it was Spotify is where I was listening to it at. You need to search out his podcast because I mean, one of the episodes they were talking about Bigfoot, and it's just crazy
Lots
shit.
of Bigfoot.
Aliens, and
Yes.
it's just it's such a great listen. And then
Bob Orton, at the end of every interview, no matter who it was, we interviewed a lot of people, and at the end of it, we wouldn't talk anything about ghosts or anything, but at the end I always said, I got one last question for you. Have you ever seen Bigfoot, ghosts, lake monsters, this, that? I can't remember the speech I always would give him, but Bob Orton had it wasn't a lake monster, it was a sea monster story. And that blew me away. I mean, I didn't think that. When I said it to Bob, I said it with a smile, because we've been on the road lots of times, and I can't believe, as much as I love the paranormal and Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff, I can't believe, because we've sung songs together. I know so much about. He probably don't remember half my shit, but I know so much about Bob and his family and all this stuff because of road trips. I can't believe I've never asked him this before, and on that podcast, he tells a story about how he saw what he thinks is a sea creature. And he tells jokes on that one, too. He's got a couple of really good jokes on that. That's a good episode, too. But, I love that podcast.
Yeah, I was listening to the one where you did with Dan Severn, and Dan Severn went all political for a while in that episode. So,
Dan is one of my best friends, and if I bet there's certain people who probably would pay just to hear the conversations I had. Because recently I did a show with Al Snow, and I never met Al before, and I walked up to Al and I said, "Hey, Al," and I'm so nonchalant. I'm like, "Hey, Al, I own the ring. I'm booking. I'm doing all this kind of stuff." I said, "But I think we have something we need to talk about." And he looks at me like, "What?" And I'm like, we share a mutual friend. And he's like, "Okay, who?" And I go, "Well, Dan Severn." And I'm sure he's heard this 1,000 times. I know Dan Severn, because I was on a show with him. And typical wrestlers, if you're on a show with a guy one time, somehow they have all kinds of, road stories, and they're best friends, and, all this kind of stuff. But so he was probably like, oh, so Dan? Yeah, Dan's a very good guy. And I was just like, no, Dan's and I go, no, Dan's a terrible person, because he uses me to pass the time when he's driving back and forth to Michigan and Arizona. And right there, he knew I was actually a friend of Dan Severn, because that's what Dan Severn does. He calls you because he's a road warrior, the real road warrior. He's always traveling, always working, and he will call you when he's coming through Missouri or Illinois. He's going to call me and go, Searcher, what are you doing? Well, how's work? And then you just talk to him forever. And me and him, we shared a couple of things that only, if you talk to Dan a lot, would know. And it was a real cool bonding. That's how I don't know if you've seen the video where I had Al wish my wife happy birthday and all that kind of stuff. And Al was pretty cool, but Al was in a very moody mood that night. Not towards me, but other people. He was not very happy that night, which was really strange. But that's how you are in this business, though. If you're in this business long enough, you can almost tell bullshitters the second they start talking to you. And you have in the wrestling world, you have a way, like, what you can say to certain people. Like when you're dropping names, left and right, and little tidbits here and tidbits there about where you've been, what you're doing. I don't need to hear your resume. I just need to know if you a nice person or what have you. But Al was, I guess a lot of people did that to him that night because he's still doing Ohio Valley, and I think and we had Glory Pro people on that card. We had AEW people. We had Jay Lethal on that card. We had Matt Sydal on the card. We had so many people on that card from different federations. But we also had a mixture of my guys and some of Al's guys from Ohio Valley and other guys from different feds. So I guess he got a lot of bombardment by other guys, and it can really wear on you. So this business is great, and I don't mind, like you said, I don't mind talking about it, but I'm really not one of those big guys to like open up the doors and the curtain. I work too hard for that. I took too many bumps to allow, marks and smarks into the real world of what I pay dues to get into. I don't like to use the kayfabe language, like I said last time, because if I'm around you guys who are workers, I shouldn't have to do that because, you know, but we're on this podcast, we're going to use it because, you know, not all workers are going to be, but I hate this word. It's not a, people say it all the time, it's a brotherhood. It is not a brotherhood, man. It is a way of life. And, you know, I think they said one time there's less than 1% of people in the world today actually know what it's like to be in combat. It's a very strange thing when you know you have bullets flying by you, but you don't hear them. You just feel it. That's a very strange feeling. When someone has fired a piece of lead at you with the intention to take your life, very few people really know what it's like. Well, in wrestling, very few people know what it's like to go, hey, powerbomb me over the top rope to that table, and I'm okay with it. there's not a lot of people, that live that life, but there's a few. So
yeah. All right, so I just realized that it's been over 2 hours, so we must come back and do a part 3. You know, maybe we'll book it down another month down the road or something. Let me tell you the story. So it was a tag match.
Do you want this cut out?
What?
Do you want it cut out?
No, it's fine. Bob won't listen to this.
No. No.
So it was me and Frankie D versus Tony Atlas and Bob Orton.
Tony Atlas. That's right.
Yeah. So, you know, Atlas is great. We were working back and forth. You know, he was letting me do whatever I wanted. He did whatever he wanted. And then Tony tagged in Bob. And so I'm working Bob. And I start calling some stuff. And he's like, nope. I was like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? You know? And so I called Body Slam. And he goes, nope. I was like, well, here we go.
Oh, I know it. I saw the video of it. Oh, I know it. You know what's funny about Tony is I work Tony a lot, but probably the biggest crowd I ever worked it live in front of was probably 10,000, maybe 11,000 people down in Knoxville or whatever it was. I don't know. It was just gigantic. But it was me and Bob versus Tony Anthony, Dirty White Boy, and
Atlas?
I'm terrible with Atlas. And we're the main event, and we're just in the back talk. And that was the night Road Dogg's like, hey man, you got to come down to TNA. You know, I think you. And then that's right after that is when I had my motorcycle wreck. But anyhow, we're about to go out. I mean, we were yucking. You know, like Ronnie Garvin was our special referee, so it was just fucking awesome. And we're all just talking and hanging out in the back and laughing. And I've worked with all those guys before. And like I said. If like Tracy Smothers, so I told you, Tracy Smothers, I've never worked Tracy Smothers, but every time I saw Tracy Smothers, he'd tell me 7 stories about things we did in the ring together. You know, Jack, all these guys. But, you know, we're just having a blast. And so now it's time for us to go out. And I swear to God to you, we don't really talk, but we talk. But Garvin gives us the finish. You know, he's like, because he's the ref. And we're about to go out, and I swear it's me and Bob versus Dirty White Boy and him. And Anthony looks at me and goes, now you and me tagging together, right? Like, what? And then we start walking out. I'm walking away from him going, no, I'm with Bob. That's how little we talked about matches in front of the biggest crowd I ever was in front of. And we had a great time. I mean, God, if you can work guys that really know how to work, you know, guys that know how to take time and don't cut you off. It's the greatest feeling in the world, man. And I'm really glad, like I said, I'm so glad you do the podcast, so glad you guys train, so glad of what you guys do wrestling. And I'm still going to book that lumberjack match. You guys got to get in there one last time. You've got to do it, man. And that's another thing that's weird about me is people are afraid to come and ask to be on. Like, I should have people knocking my door down. But most wrestlers do not because they hear the stories. Well, he agents your match, or he doesn't let you just do whatever you want. You gotta, and that's true. But I'm really good to work for. So.
Yeah, I have no
I
problem
would
with
work. I would work anybody. Anybody can come in, but I want that match. I think that would be great.
So I got to tell you the additional part. So a couple days later, Herb calls me and he goes, "Hey, Bob's really pissed at you." And I said, I guess, all right, I kind of got back to me anyhow. And he goes, he wants me to book you in a match so he can beat you up. I was like, okay. He goes, just give him a couple weeks. He might not remember, it anymore. Well, that was back when I was wearing the camo and everything. And now that I switched to the cowboy version, he doesn't remember me. So that is a match that no one brings up at the academy. Someone was talking about it a couple months ago, and I looked at him. I said, "That is the match that's not told." Because I don't want him to think that it's me again. Because
you should bring it up.
The academy, he's going to try to beat the shit out of me.
You should bring it up like it's somebody else. You're like, remember that big guy, that jackass that body slammed you, Bob? I got a piece of him for you, okay?
Right.
Bob's like, that guy right there. Yeah. Hey, I remember that. I don't remember where we were or how we got together, but it was not long after that. And we was at a Walgreens, me and him, and he was really bitching about. He's like, he just didn't call me, didn't call or nothing, just did it and all this kind of shit. That. And I'm just like, man, I wonder who the fuck that was. And then I saw the video. Oh, I know who that is. That's fucking funny, man.
He kept shooting me down on everything, and then I was just like, fuck it. And that was the only big move in the match. I tell you that for a fact.
Well, I told you I wrestled Boogie Woogie Man, right? And when I went to him and said, what do you want to do this match? He goes, hey, we'll take care of it out there, brother, but there's one rule. And I go, what's that? He goes, I don't bump. Okay. How the hell are we going to do this? But I'll tell you, there's another guy that is one that still to this day, I swear, that guy, that is an unbelievable worker. You can do a lot. I mean, geez, I wish I was as good as a guy like Bob Orton. Or I was on a card with Bob, and him and I swear to God, one of the best matches I ever seen was Honky Tonk Man and Bob Orton. It was I couldn't believe it. I stood at the curtain and I was watching it, and I couldn't believe how good that match was. And when they come back down, years later, I told Bob several times how good the match was, and one of the times it was great. Because I go, Bob, I'm telling you, once again, one of the best matches I've ever seen was that night where you wrestled Honky Tonk. It was one of the best matches I've ever seen. And he looks at me and he goes, you told this like 8 times to me. Have you ever told him? Because I don't think he liked the match at all. No, I never told him. Maybe I should tell him now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you again for blessing us with your appearance. This is the second show. I'm sure we are definitely going to book you for a third and probably fourth and a fifth.
I don't know why.
If we can steal any of your time away from you, we'll do it.
We'll even do a paranormal segment. We all have stories in that regard.
That would be a lot of fun. And the Lumberjacks actually have Bigfoot or things where they what am I saying? Castings of Bigfoot feet from their house. So I would paranormal into wrestling. I think that would be a great show to do.
I got a friend that hosts a paranormal podcast.
I got my own stories. We used to every Halloween, a group of us would go and do something either at the Lint Mansion or the Alton Haunted Trail that they would do. And we love it. So, but I've got my own pictures, my own little stories about, the different ones we've done. So it would be a great alternative to a wrestling podcast for like a one night only something but yeah.
Listen to the Hat Man episode. Listen to that Hat Man episode. That is I am a very small group of people in the world that's had that experience, but we actually caught voices on that show. It's called the Hat Man episode, and that's all a true story. If you go and listen to that, every bit of that's true. And I love the paranormal, but at the same time, I never asked for any of that stuff. It just is strange, and it's weird. Everybody's got stories. Everybody's got some strange stories.
Yep. All right. So from everyone at the Squared Ring Podcast, we want to just thank Searcher one more time. Thank you for coming on. If you like the stuff that we are doing, please like, subscribe, and share. Comment. Let us know. We read feedback before on the show, so we would love to get some more comments, and we'll share them with the audience. Or if you just want to say something and hear about it on the Squared Ring Podcast, we'll try to do our best to do that too. But so from everyone in Squared Ring, I'd like to say you guys have a good night. Thank you for coming on, and we'll see you next week. All right, guys. Thank you, Searcher.